I didn't think much of him at first. That's the part that bothers me the most. Because if I had, maybe I wouldn't eat now. His name was Lucas. 5th grade. Same class as me. Same row. Same seat. He wasn't the weird kid in the usual way. He didn't get bullied. He didn't act out. He just talked. Constantly. But never to us. Lucas would sit at his desk, head slightly tilted, and whisper. Non-stop. Like he was answering someone, reacting, listening. At first, teachers thought it was a habit, then a condition. Then they stopped trying, because no matter where they moved him, he always turned slightly to his left, and kept whispering, always to the same empty space. The first time he spoke to me directly was the first time I should have realized something was wrong. I forgot my homework that day. I was already nervous. The teacher was going down the list. Name by name, closer and closer to mine. Then Lucas slowly turned around, locked eyes with me, and said, very calmly, "Don't worry, she won't ask you today." I didn't respond. I just stared at him. Then, my name never came up. She skipped me. Completely. I remember the exact feeling. Not relief. Not confusion. Something worse. Like something had just interfered. After that, I started noticing things. Small things, too precise to ignore. Lucas would say things before they happened. Your mom is going to be late today. She's going to throw up during lunch. Don't go outside after school. And every single time, he was right. Not almost right. Not lucky. Perfectly right. I told myself it was coincidence. Primera, a de tú. Until one day, I asked him, "How do you know all this?" He didn't answer immediately. He just turned his head, slowly, toward that empty space next to him, and listened. I swear to you, his expression changed. Like someone was actually speaking. Then he looked back at me and smiled. Just a little. She tells me, "Primera, la ushade, iwish primera DNAT," because that's when he stopped smiling and leaned in slightly closer and whispered, "She doesn't like when people laugh." After that, things got worse. No one would sit next to him anymore. Not because of him, but because of that seat. Teachers noticed it too. They stopped assigning anyone there. Just left it empty. But Lucas never treated it like it was empty. Sometimes, during class, he would pause mid-whisper, like he was being corrected. Other times, he would quietly say, Okay, I'll tell them." And then something bad would happen. The day everything broke was during a fire drill. We all went outside. Lined up. Teachers. Counting heads Lucas. Wasn't there. At first, no one noticed. Then the teacher's voice changed. Sharp, panicked. We went back inside. The hallway felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. And then we heard it. Talking. Coming from our classroom. We walked in. Lucas was sitting at his desk, facing the empty chair. But this time, he was whispering. He was arguing, "No, I don't want to. They're getting scared. Stop telling me to say it." He was crying, shaking. Then, suddenly, he went silent because we were standing there, watching. Lucas slowly turned his head toward us. His eyes shifted first. Then his face followed, and he said something I still hear sometimes when it's quiet. "She's angry now, because you all noticed her." The next day, Lucas was gone. No announcement, no explanation, no goodbye. Just gone. His desk was removed, his name erased. But the chair next to him, it stayed. A week later, the classroom was rearranged, and for the first time, I was assigned that seat. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to make it real, but the moment I sat down, I felt it. Not touching me, not moving, just sitting there, close, watching the entire day. I couldn't focus, couldn't breathe right, because it felt like someone was leaning in, waiting. Then, right before the final bell rang, when everything went quiet, I heard it, right next to my ear, a whisper soft, "Come, too close. You're easier to talk to than he was." And this time, I didn't laugh. I remember the day I arrived at Ethan's house. The sky was a sickly, bruised yellow, casting long, distorted shadows across the overgrown lawn. Ethan was waiting on the porch. He looked gaunt, his eyes hollowed out by something far worse than just a lack of sleep. He didn't say hello. He just pointed to the front door, which was cracked open exactly 2 inches. "Never close them," he whispered. He explained the rule with a chilling intensity. Closing a door meant inviting the darkness to push back. It meant letting the ancient thing in. Inside, the house felt heavy. It wasn't just the clutter, it was the way every single door stood partially open, revealing slivers of darkness. The pantry door, the basement door, even the tiny linen closet upstairs, all of them were precisely, unnervingly. I tried to joke about the draft, but Ethan's silence cut through me. He watched the gaps as if waiting for something to reach out. Night fell, and the house began to breathe. Shadows stretched across the floor like ink, thickening in the corners where the light couldn't reach. Ethan's mother passed us in the hall. She was a ghost of a woman, her eyes fixed on the floor, refusing to acknowledge the open voids. She lived in a state of quiet resignation, as if she had already accepted that the house no longer belonged to them. The curtains swayed without a breeze. Through the gaps in the windows, I saw the porch light flickering in a rhythmic, frantic pulse. Then, the knocking started. It began at the back of the house, a dull, rhythmic thud that vibrated through the floorboards. Knock, pause. Knock! It moved through the hallway, stopping briefly at every single open door, each sound followed by a heavy, suffocating silence. It reached the bedroom. The air grew cold enough to see our breath. Something was standing just on the other side of that 2-inch gap. I felt a physical pressure, like the darkness itself was leaning against the wood. I leaned in, unable to look away from the void. Inside the darkness, I saw a shape. It was shifting, a swirling, viscous mass of shadow that slowly coalesced into something. Reaching, I recoiled in pure terror as a cold, pale finger of mist drifted through the opening. We sat in the dark until the sun rose. Morning brought no comfort. Ethan's mom finally spoke to me. She told me about Ethan's father. He had tried to close the doors once. She didn't say what happened to him, only that they never found the body geste room that was sealed shut from the inside. Years later, in my own apartment, I found Ethan's final post online. Just 3 words: "They're already inside." I looked up, and my heart stopped. My bedroom door, which I always leave wide open, began to slowly, silently swing shut. The latch clicked. And then the screen went black. There was a girl in my middle school who never blinked. I know that sounds small, like one of those weird, meaningless details you notice about someone and then forget. But this wasn't like that. Because once you noticed it, you couldn't unsee it. Her name was Hannah. She wasn't popular. She wasn't bullied either. She just existed. Always quiet. Always sitting in the same seat. Always watching. At first, nothing about her stood out. Not until picture day. You know how school photos always go. Half the class blinking. Someone sneezing. Someone making a weird face. It's never perfect. Except for Hannah. Her eyes were always open. Not cusk. Open. Perfectly open. Focused. Still. At first, we thought she just got lucky. Then, someone checked last year's photo. Same thing, so we checked older ones. Every single photo. Her eyes were open. No blur, no half blinks, No mistakes. It didn't make sense, because even if you try not to blink, you still blink. Your eyes twitch, water, react, but not her. It became a joke at first. People would say things like, "Try blinking this time. Bet you can't do it." She never reacted, never laughed. Just that same small smile, barely there. One day, someone asked her directly, "Why don't you blink in photos?" She paused, longer than expected, then said quietly, "I can't." That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Because now, people were curious. The next picture day, the teacher even got involved. "All right, Hannah," she said, half joking. "This time, I want you to close your eyes." Everyone laughed. Hannah didn't. She just stood there, looking at the camera, not blinking. The teacher repeated herself. More serious this time. "Hannah, close your eyes." There was a long silence. And then, slowly, Hannah closed them. It felt wrong. I don't know how to explain it. But the moment she did, the entire room went quiet, like something had just changed. The photos taken. Everyone laughed again. Moved on. But Hannah opened her eyes slowly, and for a second, she looked confused. Not at us. At something else, like she had lost sight of something, and didn't know where it went. That feeling stayed with me. Even after the day ended, a week later, the photos came back. Everyone gathered around, flipping through them, laughing, pointing, until someone got to Hannah's. And then, everything stopped. Because her eyes were open, not closed. Open. Even though we all saw her close them, but that wasn't the worst part. Her eyes looked wrong. They weren't focused on the camera. They were slightly off, like she was looking past it, at something behind the person taking the photo. Something far away. Or maybe very close. People laughed it off at first. Said it was a glitch, a timing thing, but no one could explain it. Because if it was just timing, her eyes wouldn't look like that. They wouldn't look aware. That same week, Hannah stopped coming to school. No announcement, no explanation. Her desk was empty. Her name still on the register, but no one said anything. And slowly, people stopped talking about her, like she had never been there at all. Years passed. I forgot about it. Or, at least, I thought I did. Until senior year, we were going through old yearbooks, just messing around. Looking at how different everyone looked. Then someone flipped to the page with Hannah and laughed. Hey, this girl again. I leaned in and felt that same feeling, that same wrongness, because I noticed something no one had pointed out before. In every single photo, Hannah wasn't looking at the camera. Not really. She was looking slightly to the side, same angle. Every time, like she was focused on something standing just outside the frame. And it wasn't random. It was consistent, perfectly consistent. Which meant whatever she was looking at was always there. In every photo, every year, standing in the same place. Watching, I felt cold. Because once you see that, you can't ignore it. So we checked the last photo again, the one where she closed her eyes. And that's when someone said, "Wait." We all leaned in closer. Her eyes were open. But not just open, wider than before. Too wide. And the direction she was looking had changed. For the first time, she wasn't looking to the side. She was looking straight ahead. At the camera? No. Not at the camera. Through it, like she was finally seeing something clearly. And then we noticed something else. Something none of us saw before. In the reflection of her eyes, there was a shape. Faint, distorted. But there, standing behind the photographer. Tall. Wrong. Watching. And the worst part, Hannah wasn't the one looking at it anymore. That thing was looking back. And sometimes, when I look at old photos now, I catch myself checking the background, just in case. Because I keep thinking, what if it was never just in her photos? What if it's always been there, just outside the frame? Watching, waiting for you to notice it too.